Hello? Your Health is Calling, where holistic health meets practical solutions for your well-being. With your host, speaker, New York Times bestselling author, Sue Kostyk, a seasoned holistic health practitioner and longevity coach. Join Sue each week to embark on a journey to uncover the root causes of your health concerns. Through a personalized approach, learn how to decode the messages your body is sending and craft natural protocols to address them. Call in live at 888-994-4995 Studio A.
Good morning and welcome to Hello, Your Health is Calling. I'm Sue Kostyk. I am an integrative health practitioner. And what does that mean? Integrative health is a combination of traditional Chinese medicine, ancient Ayurvedic medicine, and nutrition. We get to the root cause of issues of what you're experiencing. It's not just putting a Band-Aid on your symptoms. We go through your symptoms and figure out why you're having those. Many times we do it through functional lab testing, which is a super deep dive. So the goal of today is to talk about sleep. And we've been covering stress over the holidays and kind of started in November because the holidays, pretty much for me anyway, officially started in November. And stress on our bodies, comes out in different ways and it manifests in different ways. And sometimes we sit in that stress for too long. But I wanted to talk about stress or sleep today because sleep is one of the number one things that you can do and focus on that's going to help you minimize the stress result on your body. So again, we're never going to get away from stress. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can, but there are numerous ways that we can help our bodies with that stress response, and sleep is one of the main ones. And what I want to cover today is different short-term and long-term things that happen when we sleep or when we are deprived of sleep. But as an introduction, sleep is not created equal. We are all bio-individuals and we do need different types of sleep and different amounts of sleep. With that said, 7 to 9 hours is what a biological body needs. So wherever you are within that 7 to 9 hours, I'm not saying anything less than that. Your body cannot survive on 5 hours of sleep. I know there's a population of people, young mothers and people who do only get, maybe if they're lucky, 5 hours of sleep, but that's a different topic for a different day. So, let's talk about sleep. And to introduce this, I want to just talk about the two different types of sleep that occur during the night. Actually, there's more than two, but you have your light sleep, your deep sleep, and your REM sleep. Now, we all know light sleep is just what it is. It's we're asleep, but we're not in that any kind of REM sleep or the deep sleep activity. So what is REM sleep? REM sleep is what heals your brain. It is when your brain is actually the most active when you're sleeping. A lot of people don't realize this, but during your REM sleep, your brain is as active as it is during the day. So why is REM sleep important? Because this is when your brain heals. This is when your brain takes the garbage out. It's memory consolidation. It's filing cabinet. It's putting all of the learning things in your creativity into the files and cabinets where it belongs. And then it's getting rid of all the garbage. Your brain does need to get rid of garbage, just like your body needs to get rid of toxins. Your brain needs to do that too. So during that REM sleep, that is when things are happening in your brain, and it typically occurs between 2 and 6 a.m. Now, we are all diurnal creatures, which means we follow the sun. We wake up with the sun, we go to sleep after the sun. So habits, lifestyles, and things like that have really taken us out of what sleep was meant to be and how long we're sleeping. So the deep sleep typically starts about 10. If you go to bed at 10, it's like one of the first things that happens when you fall asleep. So the deep sleep typically takes place for the most part between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. if you're following that kind of schedule. It's your hibernative state. It's when your body is getting physically restored and recovered. Your heart rate goes down, your breathing goes down. It stimulates growth, immune system, energy is built through this. Another kind of fun fact during REM sleep is you kind of go through a physical paralysis because your brain is so active. Your body just kind of, the muscle, your skeletal muscle system kind of goes into a paralysis so that when you are in that active brain state, your body's not responding. Very interesting, huh? So, how do you know if you're getting enough sleep? There's things that you can do to measure your sleep. There's Oura rings, there's Whoop bands, there's different things. But honestly, if you are sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night and you're waking up groggy and tired and you're really depending on like 3 cups of coffee in the morning to get started, if you are chronically sick, if you get sick all the time, those are some good things, indications that you're not getting enough sleep or good sleep, that REM and the deep sleep. The REM sleep, you really need about 2 hours of REM sleep, and you need about 90 minutes of deep sleep. So that's kind of the introduction to sleep. When we come back from a brief break, I'm going to go into things that happen when you don't get enough sleep, and then we'll talk about the things you can do to improve your sleep. So hang in there, stay with me, grab a cup of coffee, whatever you need, and that's so funny I said coffee. Anyway, and we'll be back after this short break.
Hello? Your health is calling. Feeling bloated, low on energy, dealing with hormone imbalances? Integrative health coach Sue Kostyk is here to assist you. Reach out to Sue for practical health solutions guided by her professional training as a holistic coach. Sue specializes in identifying the underlying causes of health issues and restoring balance. Don't let your health concerns impact your well-being. Contact Sue Kostyk today at 917-362-5176 or via email at sue@symmetryhealthandwellness.com and take the first step towards a healthier, happier you.
You've been watching Hello, Your Health is Calling. Join me as we dive into the realms of longevity, nutrition, stress management, and toxin removal, all without the use of harsh pharmaceuticals. And now, back to the show. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to dive into sleep now. So why is sleep important, and what are some of the short-term things that will affect? Because, 365 days a year, we are not going to get 100% great sleep, right? So when you're in a season of your life where maybe your sleep isn't that great, but it's not like consistent, and some nights are good, some nights are bad, but in the short term, what's happening? So, I talked about our brain and how it needs to heal during the REM sleep. And so, one of the biggest things that happens is we have a reduced attention span. Um, it's like we just can't focus. Maybe you're feeling kind of foggy and you are really, having to have those extra cups of coffee in the morning, maybe another one in the afternoon just to get through the day. Your mood is affected as well. It's increased irritability. You might get more annoyed easily. So also in the short term, our appetite is increased. And I'm going to go through that in another slide, but our appetite's increased. We have difficulty regulating our blood sugar. We might have more cravings. When our when we don't get enough sleep, many times it means that there's just an excess amount of cortisol in your system, and it's not allowing for your body to just get that rest and relax. So, with an elevated cortisol, that's elevating your blood pressure as well. And then, of course, we're fatigued, our immune system is weakened. Sometimes there's an increased chance of accidents because our attention isn't there. We just aren't on our game. And so the long-term effects, and this is a place where I'm going to get into a little bit more explanation, is for the long term, we are, our cognitive function is continuously being tampered with. And, if your brain does not have that ability to take the trash out, like I talked about earlier, then there's a lot of toxins, there's a lot of buildup that also can lead to Alzheimer's and dementia. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in the show, but our brain really needs that clean out. And it's also linked to obesity, diabetes, and other metabolic issues because we're not we're not getting that sleep that's regulating our hormones. Like I said earlier, we feel hungry, and these are long-term effects. So the short-term effects, you can easily kind of rebalance yourself and get back, into more of a balanced state. But when you are in a long-term state of sleep deprivation, that's when other things are going to start happening because our hormones are just not able to be balanced. And, the high blood pressure then leads to cardiovascular disease. It can lead to chance of stroke. Our emotional and mental health really, really suffers when we're not sleeping. And if there's any new moms out there, that this is such a thing, that when you are up every 2 hours and you just don't have that emotional wellness, you start to maybe be a little depressed. Some depressive disorders are linked to long-term sleep deprivation. And, those young mothers I just talked about, there is hope. There is, a light at the end of the tunnel. But even older adults, when we are in chronic sleep deprivation, especially due to high amounts of stress, our mental health really, really does suffer. And, let's start diving into some of these issues. I'm not going to really review every single one of them. So, when we start talking about long-term effects, and let's talk about, weight gain and metabolic issues that happen when we are super sleep deprived. So what happens in our body? The lack of sleep, it interrupts the production of hormones. It pretty much mostly attacks our sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, but it also affects two very important hormones. Now, when I talked in the short term, we talked about feeling hungry when you don't get enough sleep. And there's two hormones, leptin and ghrelin. And ghrelin is the hunger stimulating, and so it increases as we sleep less, because what's happening is our hormones, the leptin, which is our feel full hormone, there's no balance in that. And so we're not getting the hormone that makes us feel full. We're getting more of the hormone that's making us feel hungry. So that's why we tend to overeat and maybe reach for the wrong things, because our blood sugar levels, our inflammation control, our insulin resistance, all that stuff is all messed up because we're so imbalanced. And some people who suffer from digestive issues, GERD, IBS, IBD, this typically also is a sleep issue because your body is not taking the trash out. It's not able to rebalance. So, those are two really big things about sleep deprivation, is your weight gain and your metabolic issues. Now, cardiovascular issues pop up also because the sleep deprivation, it affects your body's ability to heal and repair your heart and blood vessels. You know, we don't realize that when we're sleeping, what kind of activity is going on. It is literally your body's time to repair. You know, if you are not getting the sleep between 7 and 9 hours, your body's not repairing. The deep sleep that we need to repair our muscles and tissues and organs, you know, if you're not getting deep sleep, if you're not following some kind of consistent rhythm and getting into deep sleep, getting into the REM sleep, you know, we're just doing ourselves such a disservice of kind of tricking ourselves to think that we don't need a lot of sleep. So, you know, what about hormone imbalances? There's, you know, a lot of issues that happen when we're not sleeping, hormone imbalances, fertility issues, because lack of sleep really does affect our sex hormones. And the reasons why is because, like I said earlier, there's so much cortisol coursing through that you're not able to get into that rest and relax. Your body's constantly robbing from your sex hormone production to just keep producing cortisol. So, you know, the effects of your hormone levels, I mean, it interferes with, you know, in kids, if they're not getting enough sleep, it's going to interfere with their growth and their puberty as well. And so, you know, for women, not having the right hormone balance is going to affect your menstrual cycle. For men, it's going to affect your testosterone and your sperm count. And it's going to lower your libido because, quite frankly, who wants that when you're tired, right? So, you know, there's just such a slew of things. And I'm really, you know, compartmentalizing all of this. And I do go to a little bit more detail in some blogs on my website. Sue or symmetryhealthandwellness.com is my website. And you can always email me support at hello your health is calling if you have more questions, because these are really, really deep issues and it's really hard to cover. I keep looking at my time and I'm like, I gotta talk faster. So besides hormone imbalance, fertility issues, we do have cardiovascular issues that happen when we are chronically sleep deprived, and it affects the healing and repair of your heart and blood vessels. This is all so scientific, and we can't just walk around and expect our bodies to function when we're not giving it the tools that it needs to heal. And so, you know, a lot of cardiovascular disease, you know, chance of stroke and those kind of things, they do go hand in hand with sleep deprivation. Um, so let's talk about our cognitive function now, because this is another thing that there's been so many studies happening about our cognitive function and sleep. And if your brain is not able to repair, there are issues with forming the pathways for learning, for memory, for problem solving. You know, we talked in the metabolic part when we talked about that, you know, our blood sugar and our insulin is not able to be regulated when we're sleep deprived. And so that is one of the reasons why sleep deprivation is being linked to Alzheimer's and dementia, which is now starting to be called type 3 diabetes. So it's really important to understand that what's happening in your 20s and 30s is going to start manifesting in your 50s and 60s and beyond. So paying attention, I don't care what age you are, you can always start working on your sleep. And, you know, it's one of those things that really needs to be prioritized, especially if you are under stress. You know, our overall wellness suffers when we are not sleeping. You know, it lowers our immune system. If you are subject to getting a cold every year, then it's probably because your you're not sleeping. And it's, like I said, it's linked to obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and some cancers are also linked, because what happens is when your body is not balanced, it's going to revert to whatever you're predisposed to. And everybody's different. Like I said, everyone's predisposed to something different, but when your body is immune compromised, it's going to succumb to whatever you're predisposed to. Remember, genetics load the gun, but our lifestyle pulls the trigger. So lifestyle including sleep. you know, what impacts your sleep? We talk a lot about, what happens when you don't sleep, but what kind of things are actually impacting your sleep, and what can you do? I'm never not going to give you any solutions. I'm not going to give you all this bad news and then just say, see you later. So let's talk about what impacts your sleep. So your environment. That's one of the number one things that you can work on. Noise. Is it, maybe you live in an apartment complex or something that it's noisy, or you have a partner that snores. There's different things that you can do. You can wear earplugs. You can put on a sound machine that gives you more of that white noise that helps block out that other noise. Is your room too light? I know a lot of people like to sleep with night lights. That's actually jeopardizing your sleep. The darker the room, the better. If you're in an environment that you can't get a dark room, then perhaps an eye mask. Your room temperature. The optimal sleeping temperature is 65 degrees. Now, I live in Arizona. Impossible in the summer. But, we do cool the house down at night versus, in the middle of the day when no one's home. So, if you're thinking about your electric bill and things like that, typically the nighttime is lower cost. So if you can cool your room down, you don't have to get it down to 65 degrees. But typically, people sleep better in the winter because it is colder. The tidiness of your room. There are so many studies about your room environment. If your room is, just piled with junk, or you've got clothes everywhere, that affects your psyche. I don't care what you say. It does. I have 4 daughters, and 2 of them decided that they didn't need a clean room. But every time their room was cleaned, they always commented on how much better they felt. So, stress and anxiety is going to affect your sleep. If you are worried about things, your mind is not going to be able to shut down. And this is where I really, really think that journaling is a great way. Get them on paper, get your stress, get your anxiety, get your worries, get them down on paper, because then it clears your mind. And, maybe that will help reduce some of the worry in your life. If you're dehydrated, you're not going to sleep well. That is one of the biggest things that affects sleep as well, is dehydration. We just don't understand that. Our diet affects our sleep. Heavy meals before bed. Even if you're eating a good, healthy meal before bed, your digestive system is too awake. So last meal, 3 hours before you go to bed should be your rule of thumb. Your physical activity, it's either going to hurt you or help you. It's all about the timing. And some people, they cannot get to exercise until later in the evening. So just once you recognize that that's the only option for you, then maybe, take a little bit longer cooling down so that your muscles can actually cool down, warm shower kind of thing. But, your physical activity could be an issue with your sleep. Screen time, that's a biggie. People, do not take your laptops, do not take your cell phones to bed with you. Don't let that be the last thing you're looking at. That blue light is such a hindrance to your sleep. 3 hours before, 2 hours before you go to bed, put on those blue light glasses. Get a good quality pair and make sure that you're blocking that blue light that's stimulating your brain. Age has something to do with it too. Sometimes the older you get, the harder it is to sleep, and there's different things that we can do for that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. If you're in pain, that's going to keep you awake, and you know, it's just one of those things that sometimes that's just a short-term thing. So if you are in pain and you're trying to get, your body rebalanced, then that will come. Mental health disorders sometimes disrupt our sleep. Um, a lack of routine. So it is also very studied that when you have a routine that is literally plus or minus 30 minutes every night of going to bed and then getting up the next morning, that really helps. If you if your routine tells you that you are not going to bed until midnight, you are missing out on some really, really valuable sleep. We have a diurnal rhythm for a reason, and we were created to follow the sun. And around 10 o'clock is when naturally your cortisol levels should be at their lowest. So if you're starting to feel drowsy around 8 and go to bed 9:30, 10 o'clock, that's really the perfect rhythm to have, and then waking up between 5 and 6 in the morning. So that's another thing we can talk about also, is how to get into a routine. So again, please email me, support at Hello Your Health is Calling. We can just come up with some kind of routine. So menopause, pregnancy, and shift work are three areas that are specialized. So if you're in any one of those, I'm not going to go into detail about them, but those are things that you cannot help. So I do have things that will help you. So let's talk about facts, myths. I call it facts or crap. So there's a game that's called Facts or Crap. It's pretty funny. But fact or crap. So the yellow or crap. The early bird gets the worm. I don't need a lot of sleep. I'm a night owl. I'll sleep when I'm dead. More exercise, less sleep. Napping helps me catch up. Cold plunge wakes me up. These things are kind of societal myths that we've tend to adopted. And the I'll sleep when I'm dead, it's like, if you follow those other ones, that's pretty much going to happen. So, the night owl thing is really, it's not a thing. And I will debate anybody on that fact. There's so much scientific studies and information about that. And it's literally just your body is out of balance, and it's just backwards, So if you are not sleeping during the typical diurnal rhythm, 10 to 5, 10 to 6, then you're really putting your body in imbalance. So there's ways to break that, and I can help you with that too. Now, the facts are that the human body and brain, you need 7 to 9 hours of sleep to repair. Your brain needs 120 minutes of REM sleep, and your body needs at least 90 minutes of deep sleep. So those are really the facts, and there are ways that you can adjust your patterns and adjust the routines that you've gotten yourself into. So again, let's talk about it. You can find me on Instagram at Sue Kostyk. You can find me on Facebook at Sue Kostyk. You can email me. There's so many different ways. My website, symmetryhealthandwellness.com. So you can even get, a complimentary 20-minute call with me. So what are some helpers? Now that I've given you all this information, what are some helpers that you can do besides a routine, besides redoing your routine? What can help you sleep? There's so many natural things out there without taking your Advil PM and, the PM things, because those are very detrimental to your liver. It's really not helping you sleep. You may be falling asleep, but many times it's like that airplane sleep, it's like fever dreams kind of thing. What you need for really good sleep is L-theanine, you need ashwagandha, you need passion flower, valerian, magnesium, melatonin. 5-HTP, which is hydroxytryptophan. You've heard of tryptophan. GABA, CBD is a huge helper in just bringing down your nervous system, not the THC, the CBD. You can do breath work. Figure out some deep breathing, some meditation. Read before bed. Put the laptop away. Put your phone away. Get rid of that. Actually pick up a book made of paper. Remember those? And read. You could take an Epsom salt bath. An Epsom salt bath is super beneficial. And put some essential oils in your bath, some lavender drops, things like that. So we've run out of time, but sleep, super, super important. I hope I've brought that home to you during this show. Please get in touch with me if you have questions about your sleep, if you need help with your sleep. On my website, actually, at symmetryhealthandwellness.com, there are actually some products that I vetted that are really super good and beneficial for helping you sleep. So I love to remind you that your health is not a hobby, that if you have symptoms, it's your body telling you there's something wrong. It's not messing up. It's just giving you that signal that something is wrong, and we can figure it out. Everything is figure outable. Thanks for showing up with me. And remember, if your health is calling, please answer. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Hello, Your Health is Calling with Sue Kostyk. Remember, your health journey is ongoing, and we're here to support you every step of the way. If you have any questions, insights, or stories to share, don't hesitate to reach out. You can connect with us on social media or call in live at 888-994-4995 Studio A. Together, we're transforming lives and embracing holistic well-being. Until next time, prioritize your health and remember,